Listen, I love Ragnarok. It's such a good movie. The sets, the cinematography, the colors, the characters, everything. I also thought The Dark World wasn't terrible. The best moments were with Thor and Loki. I just wished the villain was better. But after watching Loki on Disney Plus, I realized the Thor movie that goes most underappreciated is the first one. And even though I love Ragnarok, I kinda wish we got to see more of this Thor movie. To this day, I still don't truly understand why this one isn't as popular or talked about as the rest of them. Sure, there's too many Dutch angles, and they dyed Chris Hemsworth's eyebrows, which, I mean, don't actually bother me too much. It kind of helps distinguish his character from other people, and it fits his aesthetic for me, but, I mean, listen to this music. Look at the scale of Asgard, look at the sets, look at everything. One of the best parts of this movie is Asgard. At this point in the MCU, we've dealt with some relatively grounded stuff. I mean, sure, we got a guy building an insanely technologically advanced suit of armor and a giant green monster, but we haven't seen anything like this before. Here, we learn that Norse mythology is real, to at least some extent, and that first reveal of Asgard is just beautiful. There's some great world building here. Asgard is truly a character in this movie, and I love that. That's another great part of the movie, by the way. The characters. Jerry, give that back. Let's start with Jane. She's the one who grounds us in the human part of the story. The audience can kind of see through her eyes how crazy everything is, and despite what some may say, I think Thor and Jane have some good chemistry here. I think this scene is a good example of my point.
What is that?
My father explained it to me like this, that your world is one of the 9 realms of the cosmos, linked to each other by the branches of Yggdrasil, the world's tree. Now you see it every day without realizing. The images glimpse through, what did you call it, this Hubble telescope. Hubble telescope.
Sure, I mean, this is obviously here to help explain the 9 realms to the audience, but it does a great job of blending the mystical and the scientific explanation of how this alien came to be here, all the while making us care about Jane and Thor. This scene really makes you want to see these two together, and it makes the ending more tragic. Speaking of Thor, let's see what he's about in this movie. Thor is, like all good Marvel characters, imperfect. Flawed. He's boastful, arrogant, and pretty freaking stupid at times. When we start the movie, he's about to be made King of Asgard, only for his father to deem him unworthy and banish him to Midgard. So the first thing Thor does, of course, is try to find his hammer so he can prove himself worthy, but tragically, we see he's no longer worthy to wield the thing he thinks makes him powerful. From there, we immediately start to see character growth, and by the end of the film, we see him willing to sacrifice himself, not so others can see him as a hero or to be boastful, but because he genuinely cares for others and he earns his hammer back. Now let's talk about the villain so good he earned his own show that's getting a second season, Loki. Loki earns a special spot on the Marvel villains tier list because he's the first one we can empathize with. His motivation in this movie is literally to just earn his father's love and respect. He goes about it, of course, in a twisted way, killing his biological father in the process, but he wants to prove he's not the monster he was born to be. And his chemistry with Thor is just great. The two brothers' arcs in this movie are essentially flipped. Towards the end of the movie, Loki is trying to do exactly what Thor was at the beginning. You love Loki in this movie. I mean, the whole time you just want to give him a hug because his father won't. See what I mean about the characters in this movie? And those are just the characters I mentioned. We still have Odin as arguably the true villain of the film, the Charismatic Warriors 3, Eric Selvig, and Darcy. All of this stuff builds up into an amazing third act to this film. We see Thor and his hammer again, we see how tragic it is for him to leave Jane because of how much they've made us care about them. We see the two brothers fight each other in a pretty cool way, I might add, and we also get to see what happens to Loki, and what sets the course for his fate in the rest of the films. When making a desperate final attempt to earn his father's love and respect, he's denied.
I could have done it, Father! I could have done it! For you! For all of us!
No, Loki. And he chooses suicide. This rejection leads him to do what he does in the first Avengers movie. But right before the credits roll, we get this scene.
So Earth is lost to us.
No. There is always hope.
you see her?
Yes.
I have the particle detectors. Darcy, do you have the shield satellite codes?
Yeah. Have you seen my taser?
How is she?
In the car.
Come on, Jane.
She searches for you.
Jane's searching for this crazy space god millions of miles away, knowing that he's thinking of her up in the stars. I love that ending, man. As much as I love Ragnarok, I kinda wish we got to see more of this type of Thor movie. Who knows? Jane is returning in Love and Thunder, and with Valkyrie leading the new Asgard, maybe it can capture some of the magic again. And with the events of the Loki show, who knows what might be up with him, and what that means for Thor. All I know is this film is beautiful, and I hope maybe this video made you appreciate it just a little bit more. Also, if you like this video, please support.